What if I told you one night I studied on a floor that wasn't even supposed to be open, and I wasn't alone up there? When I was in my final year of university, I practically lived inside the campus library, not by choice, but because I had no other option. 5 courses, a part-time job, and constant pressure. The only place I could actually focus was the library, mostly because it stayed open until midnight. And the later it got, the quieter it became. That night, I got there around 8:30 p.m. Everything felt normal. People typing, whispering, pages turning. But by 10:30, it started to empty out. By 11:15, the entire upper floor, where I like to study, was almost completely silent. Just the faint hum of the lights and the occasional creak of shelves settling. I was sitting in a corner, tucked between 2 tall bookshelves. It made me feel hidden, like no one could really see me. At least, that's what I thought. Around 11:30, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, walking across the wooden floor. At first, I ignored it. I thought it was just another student. But then, I noticed something strange. The footsteps stopped. Right behind my shelf. Not walking past, not fading away, just stopped. I slowly lifted my head and listened. Nothing. No movement, no breathing, just silence. Then, a book fell right behind me on the other side of the shelf. I jumped. The sound wasn't loud, but in that silence, it felt sharp, intentional. I stood up quickly and looked around the shelf. No one was there. Just a single book lying open on the floor. I stared at it, waiting for someone to step out or say something. Nothing happened, so I picked it up, put it back, and sat down again. But now, I couldn't focus. Escalation. I kept looking over my shoulder, again and again and again, and then I saw him. At the far end of the floor, near the elevators, there was a man, standing completely still, just watching me. I hadn't seen him come in, and I would have. He had no books, no bag, nothing, just standing there, staring. And the moment our eyes met, he smiled. Not a normal smile, too wide, too slow. I immediately looked back down, pretending I didn't see him, but my heart was racing. I told myself I was overreacting, but then I heard it again. Footsteps. This time, closer. Fast pacing. I grabbed my things immediately, didn't even pack properly, and I started walking toward the stairs, not the elevator, never the elevator. As I walked, I could hear it, footsteps behind me, matching my pace. I didn't turn around. I just kept going, faster and faster, until I reached the stairs. And the moment I stepped down, the footsteps stopped. Just like before, I turned around. The hallway was empty. No man, no sound, nothing. I stood there for a few seconds, trying to understand what just happened. Then I went downstairs to the main floor, where people were, where it felt safe. I told the librarian everything. She looked confused, then concerned, and then she said something I will never forget. There is no upper floor access after 10 p.m. I felt my chest tighten. I told her I had just been there for hours. She shook her head. Security locks it every night. I never went back to that floor again. Because whatever I saw that night was never supposed to be there.
Most people are afraid of libraries at night because they're empty. I was afraid because mine wasn't. In my early 20s, I worked evening shifts at a public library. Closing shifts were the worst, not because of the work, but because of how the building felt after everyone was gone. That kind of silence is different, heavy, like something is still there, watching you. That night, I was alone after 9 p.m., completely alone. I locked the doors, turned off most of the lights, and started cleaning up. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. I was restocking books, moving shelf to shelf, when I heard it. A whisper, very faint. I froze. I listened carefully. Nothing. No movement, no sound. So I shook it off and kept working. But then I heard it again, clearer this time. Hello? I stopped. That wasn't in my head. That came from somewhere, far across the library, near the study rooms. I started walking toward it, slowly. Each step felt heavier than the last. The lights in that section were dim, flickering slightly, and as I got closer, I saw it. One of the study room doors slightly open, just a crack, and the light inside was on. I was confused. I knew I'd checked every room before closing. I pushed the door open, slowly. Inside, the room was empty, completely empty. Just a chair, a table, and a single book lying open in the center. I stepped inside, and then the door slammed shut behind me, hard. I spun around instantly and grabbed the handle. It wouldn't move. I tried again. Nothing. It was locked. Then, from the other side of the door, I heard breathing, slow, heavy, right against the wood. I stepped back. My hands started shaking, and then the whisper came again, right through the door. You stayed too late. I started banging on the door, yelling for help, even though I knew no one else was there. The breathing got louder, closer, like it was right in my face through the door, and then it stopped, completely, just gone. At that exact moment, the door unlocked. I didn't think. I didn't wait. I ran out of the room, through the hallway, grabbed my things, and left everything else behind. The next day, I came back with my manager. We checked the security footage, every hallway, every room. There was no one, not a single person. No one entered, no one left, nothing. But then we saw it. At the exact time I was inside that room, the door slowly closed on its own. And whatever was outside that door never caught on camera.
When I was 9 years old, I met a boy in a library. The strange part? No one else ever saw him. My mom used to take me to the local library every weekend. I loved it there. The quiet, the books, and mostly the kids section. That day felt normal. We got there sometime in the afternoon. maybe around 3 or 4. My mom sat at a table reading, and I went off on my own, like I always did. I started on the computers, playing random games, but after a while, I got bored. So I wandered through the shelves, looking for something else to do. That's when I saw him. A boy, about my age, sitting on the floor, flipping through a picture book. He looked up at me and smiled. "Do you want to play a game?" he asked. I didn't think anything of it. I just said, "Okay." We started playing simple games, pointing things out in books, making up stories, laughing a little. It felt normal, almost too normal. But then I noticed something off. He never blinked, not once. I remember staring at his eyes, waiting for it, just one blink, but it never came. Even when he smiled, his eyes stayed wide open. After a few minutes, he asked me, "Do you want to see something cool?" I hesitated, just for a second. But I was a kid, and curiosity always wins. So I followed him. He led me out of the kids section, into a quieter part of the library, somewhere I had never been before. There were fewer people. Actually, no people. Just rows and rows of books. He stopped at a narrow aisle and pointed inside. "It's in there," he said. I stepped in slowly, and immediately something felt wrong. The air felt heavier. The light felt dimmer, like it didn't fully reach inside. I turned around to ask him what we were looking for, but he wasn't behind me anymore. He was at the end of the aisle, much farther away than he should have been, just standing there, watching me. That same smile, but now it didn't feel friendly anymore. "Come here," he said. His voice, it sounded different, lower, heavier, almost like it wasn't coming from him. That's when I felt it. That feeling in your stomach when something isn't right. That instinct telling you to leave, now. I slowly stepped back. He didn't move. He just kept staring, smiling. And then I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I ran straight out of that section, through the shelves, toward the front desk where my mom was. I grabbed her arm and told her everything, every word. She immediately stood up and went to check. We walked back together, but when we got there was no boy, no one. The entire area was empty. Slowly reveal. We told the librarian. She asked me to describe him, so I did. Same face, same age, same smile. And as I spoke, her expression changed. She went pale, and then, very quietly, she said, "That's not possible." She told us, years ago, a child had gone missing in that exact same section, same age, same description. They never found him, but somehow, that day, he found me.
Some strangers know more about you than they should. I learned that the hard way. This happened about 2 years ago, during my finals. I wasn't the type to stay out late, but during exam season, that changes. The library became my second home. That night, I got there around 7 p.m. Everything felt normal, Groups of students, quiet conversations, keyboards clicking. Nothing unusual. But by 10:45, it started to empty out. The noise faded. The space opened up. So I moved to a more isolated section on the second floor. I thought it would help me focus. It didn't. I was sitting alone at a long wooden table, completely lost in my notes, when I heard it. A chair being pulled out, right across from me. I looked up, and there he was, a man, sitting directly in front of me. I hadn't seen him walk in, not even a glimpse. He looked off, not homeless, not messy, just wrong, like he didn't belong there, like he wasn't supposed to be there. He smiled at me. I gave a small nod and looked back down at my work, trying to ignore him. A minute passed, then he spoke. "Long night, huh?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, finals." He nodded slowly, but he didn't look at my books. He didn't look at my laptop. He just stared at me, unblinking. Then he said something that made my stomach drop. "You've been here every night this week." I froze. Slowly, I looked up at him. "What?" He leaned forward slightly. "I see you. Same seat, same time." My heart started pounding. I had never seen this man before, not once. I tried to laugh it off. "I think you've got the wrong person." He tilted his head slowly. "No, I don't." And then he said my name, my real name, not written anywhere, not visible, just spoken clearly, like he already knew me. A cold wave ran through my body. I didn't respond. I couldn't. I just stared at him, trying to understand who he was, how he knew me, why he was here. He leaned back in his chair, still smiling. Then he said, "You should go home earlier." That was it. No explanation, no questions, just that. I didn't argue. I didn't stay. I packed my things as fast as I could. My hands were shaking, and as I stood up, he spoke again. Low, warning tone. "Be careful walking alone." I didn't look back. I walked straight to the front desk and told security everything. When they came back with me, he was gone. Just gone. No one saw him leave. No one saw him enter. The cameras showed nothing, like he was never there. For the rest of that week, I didn't go back to the library. I didn't stay out late. I didn't take any chances. But then, a few days later, I got an email, a campus security alert. There had been reports of a man stalking students late at night, and attached to the email was a blurry photo. It was him, same face, same smile, and at the bottom there was one line: "He is not a registered student." And to this day, I still don't know how he knew my name. Most
People think library return slots only take books in. But one night, something tried to come out. I used to work part-time at a small public library. It wasn't very big, just one floor, a few study areas, and a metal return slot on the side of the building. People would drop books in from outside, and they'd slide down a narrow chute into a bin inside. Part of my job was emptying that bin before closing. Most nights, it was nothing, just books, sometimes DVDs, never anything strange, until that night. It was raining heavily, around 8:50 p.m., just before closing. I decided to empty the return bin early so I wouldn't have to deal with it later. I opened the small door and pulled the bin out. There were only a few books inside. I started picking them up one by one, and then I heard it. A sound from inside the chute. I froze. Then it came again, a faint scratching noise coming from the metal tunnel right above me. I slowly stepped back, thinking maybe an animal got stuck inside. That happens sometimes. So I grabbed a flashlight and pointed it up into the slot. At first, I saw nothing, just darkness. Then, something moved, fast. I flinched, almost dropping the flashlight. My heart started pounding. I leaned in closer, slowly, carefully, and that's when I saw it. Fingers, human fingers, curled, gripping the inside of the metal chute. I stumbled backward instantly. My mind couldn't process it. That wasn't possible. The slot was too small. No one could fit through it. But before I could react, the fingers moved, sliding lower, like something was trying to crawl out. And then I heard a voice, muffled, distorted, echoing through the metal. "Help me!" I froze. Every instinct told me to run, but I couldn't move. "Please, help me!" The voice sounded weak, desperate, but something about it felt wrong, not natural, like it was being forced, like something was pretending. I slowly stepped back. Then I turned and ran, straight to get my manager. I told him everything. We came back together, but when we checked, there was nothing. No fingers, no sound. The chute was empty. We checked outside. Rain was still pouring, but there were no footprints, no signs that anyone had been there. Nothing, like it never happened. The next morning, we checked the security cameras, and what we saw made my skin crawl. At exactly 8:47 p.m., the return slot moved slightly, like something pushed against it from the inside. But there was no one outside. No one approached it. No one touched it. Just movement from within. I never emptied that bin alone again, because whatever was inside that chute wasn't trying to return a book.